Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're unpacking a concept that is, well, it's universally valued, but let's be real, it's often remarkably difficult to actually practice in the messy, everyday, small moments of life. I'm talking about complete, unwavering honesty. We're going to explore exactly how truthfulness and trust are defined, modeled, and taught. And we'll be looking at this through the incredibly fascinating lens of Islamic traditions, as well as some modern educational storytelling.
But first, I want you to put yourself right in the middle of a specific scenario. What would you do if you fished up a priceless pearl? Literally, imagine you're a young fisherman. Your family is struggling to make ends meet, your boat is broken, and suddenly, boom, you pull up wealth beyond your wildest dreams. What do you do? Do you keep it?
Well, this is exactly the dilemma faced by a 12-year-old boy named Hassan in a classic moral tale. He actually finds this magnificent, glowing pearl all tangled up in his net. And I mean, this pearl could fix his father's boat and feed his entire village for months. But later that night, he sees a complete stranger weeping by the harbor. The man is absolutely devastated because he lost that exact pearl into the sea, and it was his family's entire dowry. So Hassan remembers this simple, powerful rule. Truth leads to goodness. And he makes a massive choice. He returns it to the weeping man. Now, the story goes on to say that his honest act later brought him an ocean of unexpected blessings. But the real takeaway here is that moment of sheer willpower. He chose the hard truth over an incredibly easy lie.
Hassan's choice really provides the perfect framing for our exploration today. Section 1, the foundation of truthfulness.
In the Islamic tradition, this core concept is known as a sidq. And it's not just about, refraining from telling lies when someone asks you a direct question. It's way deeper than that. It is an all-encompassing way of life. It literally means living truthfully, where your external actions are a perfect mirror reflection of your inner beliefs. It's about keeping promises, honoring trusts, and maintaining total harmony between who you claim to be and what you actually do behind closed doors. Now, what's really interesting about this teaching is the profound spiritual weight given to this virtue. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stated, "Truthfulness leads to righteousness, and righteousness leads to paradise." So it is viewed as a direct, absolutely non-negotiable pathway to ultimate spiritual reward. Honesty isn't just a nice societal suggestion to help things run smoothly, right? It's the fundamental bedrock of spiritual success.
But to truly understand a principle like this, we need to see it lived out in practice. Section 2, the trustworthy example.
Long before his prophethood, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known throughout Mecca by a very specific and highly respected title. He was called Al-Amin, which translates to the trustworthy. And what's cool is this wasn't a title he just gave himself. It was bestowed upon him organically by his entire community, because every single deal he made as a merchant was flawlessly, consistently honest. The historical instances of this integrity are just fascinating to review. For example, if a merchant's scale showed even a little extra weight in his favor, he returned the extra immediately, no questions asked. When rival Quraysh tribes were literally on the brink of war over who would get the honor of placing the black stone in the Kaaba, they agreed to let the next person who walked in decide. It happened to be him, and they all rejoiced because they trusted his absolute fairness. And most incredibly, when he had to migrate to Medina to escape his enemies, he actually left his cousin Ali behind in Mecca for one specific reason: to return the valuables that those exact same enemies had entrusted to him for safekeeping. I mean, really think about that. Even his fiercest opponents, the people who called him a magician or a poet, never once called him a liar.
So how do these high moral concepts apply if you just, say, find a wallet on the street? Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 3, Rules of the Found.
Believe it or not, there is an entire legal framework dedicated to exactly this, called a luqata. It refers to property that an owner loses and a person finds and picks up specifically to preserve it in trust. It's essentially the legal translation of the moral obligation to protect your neighbor's property. If you pick something up, you aren't just getting lucky, You are actively taking on a sacred trust. And there is a remarkably strict process a finder must follow. Step 1. You must immediately identify and memorize its distinguishing features. Step 2. You are literally required to advertise it publicly, like in markets or outside mosques, for an entire year. And step 3, if the owner shows up and can accurately describe it, you must return it. If a whole year passes and no one claims it, sure, you can utilize it. But it functionally remains a trust, meaning if the rightful owner ever comes back, you still owe them its value. No loopholes. But the law is also highly logical. Just look at how it treats trivial versus valuable items. For something trivial, like a stray date or a cheap whip, because let's face it, absolutely no one is launching a year-long investigation over a dropped piece of fruit. You can utilize it immediately. But for valuables, like money or jewelry, that strict one-year announcement rule applies. It's a system that perfectly balances strict moral accountability with everyday common sense. So, we have these centuries-old legal and moral frameworks. But how do we actually translate them for today's digital natives? Section 4. Animating moral character. 5. That is a really crucial number here, because it turns out it only takes about 5 minutes per episode to effectively transmit these deep Islamic teachings. That happens to be the runtime of the hit Indonesian animated series Nusa dan Rara, which researchers have found is incredibly effective at shaping character through simple, fast-paced storytelling. Take the episode titled Learn to be Honest. It tackles a very modern problem. The character Abdul gets the absolute highest score on an online school quiz, but Nusa soon realizes Abdul actually cheated by copying answers from the internet. Now, instead of shaming him, Nusa gently advises him. He explains that honesty brings inner peace, while cheating, well, it just leaves your heart feeling restless. It takes this abstract, heavy concept of integrity and makes it totally tangible for a kid staring at a computer screen. And this brilliantly illustrates the power of targeted, relatable micro-narratives. For instance, one episode might tackle everyday etiquette where Nusa has to learn to say please and thank you to his younger sister. And then another tackles much broader societal concepts like interfaith tolerance. We see the children eagerly helping a delivery courier of a different faith, and later they collect donations for a non-Muslim neighbor whose house caught fire. They are learning, right there on screen, that goodness and honesty absolutely aren't bound by our differences. Ultimately, whether it's an animated show or a classic bedtime story, the main goal is right here. Section 5, building everyday integrity. Consider a really simple story designed for very young children about a little girl named Sarah. She takes her brother Hamza's shiny new pen without asking, and she accidentally spills ink all over her own drawing. When Hamza walks in and asks if she used his pen, she is absolutely terrified. But she remembers the teaching, Allah loves the truth, so she bravely confesses. And, importantly, Hamza thanks her for her honesty and actually forgives her. There are just so many actionable lessons packed into that tiny little story. Tell the truth, even when it's hard. Ask permission. Apologize when you mess up. Forgive others when they apologize to you. And never, ever lie just to avoid trouble. These aren't just rules for kids, right? They are the absolute bedrock of a healthy, trusting family dynamic. Because think about it, if we can't be honest about a spilled pen, how on earth can we be trusted with a priceless pearl or a neighbor's life savings? So the crucial point is that failing in these seemingly small matters has massive implications. Read this powerful warning from the Prophet Muhammad. The signs of a hypocrite are 3. When he speaks, he lies. When he makes a promise, he breaks it. And when he is trusted, he betrays that trust. This really highlights the severe spiritual consequences of abandoning our everyday integrity. A lie isn't just a slip of the tongue. It is a literal crack in the foundation of who you are. Which brings us right back to you. We've looked at the grand history of Al-Amin, the strict legalities of finding a lost item, and the simple, profound lessons of children's cartoons. But as we know, knowledge only matters if it changes how we actually live. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. How will you practice everyday integrity today? Where is the small moment in your life right now where you are choosing comfort over the truth? Find it, fix it, and watch how it transforms your world. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.